That evening, Doyin sat by the mango tree again. The place was quiet. The leaves danced in the wind. The earth still held the memory of footsteps, dancing feet and tapping drums. She closed her eyes and remembered the sound of 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐵's drum. His voice calling her, my dancing queen. His soft eyes when he said, I want to marry you. And her voice when she pushed him away. Her heart ached. What have I done? She whispered to herself. She stood up and began to move slowly, her feet tapping softly on the earth. Her hips swayed. Her arms rose gently. She danced. Not for anyone watching. Not for praise or fame. Just for herself. And for the memory of a man who once played the drum just for her. As the days passed, more and more suitors began to visit Doyin's house. One brought bags of rice and palm oil. Another came with wrappers and perfumes from a faraway market. I want to marry you, they all said. You are the most beautiful woman in 𝐼𝐶𝐫𝐿. 𝐼𝐶𝐫𝐿 was proud. See, my daughter, the world is at your feet. But Doyin's heart was unsure. She listened to them. She smiled politely. But her heart was never stirred. Not like before. One of the suitors, a rich man named 𝐸𝐵𝐻, tried hard to win her heart. He built a bench near her house and came every evening to tell stories. He praised her beauty and brought her gifts. But one night, Doyin sat with him under the stars and asked a question. If I had never lost weight, if I still looked like before, would you be sitting here now? 𝐸𝐵𝐻 was silent for a long time. Then he stood up and said, good night. He never came back. That night, Doyin lay on her mat and whispered to the moon. Was I only good enough when I became small? Do they love me now, or just my new body? The moon didn't answer. But in her heart, she knew the truth. She had changed, but not everyone else had. And love, true love, is not about weight or beauty. It's about kindness, loyalty, understanding. Things that 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐻 had given her freely. Before the change. Before the fame. Before the crowd. One afternoon, as she sat outside helping her mother sort beans, a young girl ran into the compound, breathless. Sister Doyin. Sister Doyin. Yes. Doyin asked, looking up. The prince from 𝐸𝐶𝐫𝐻 is in the village. He came with guards and horses. People are saying he's visiting the king. Doyin's heart stopped. Prince. 𝐸𝐶𝐫𝐻. 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐻. Could it be him? She stood up quickly, her hands shaking. She wanted to run. To find him. To say sorry. To say she still cared. But then she stopped. What if he had moved on? What if he no longer wanted to see her? She sat back down and took a deep breath. If he wants to see me, he will find me, she whispered. But in her heart, she prayed. She prayed for one more chance. Just one. The sun was high in the sky, and the village of 𝐼𝐶𝐫𝐻 buzzed with excitement. Children ran barefoot across the dusty paths. Women stood in groups, whispering and giggling. Even the elders paused their games of 𝐴𝐻 under the trees. The prince of 𝐸𝐶𝐫𝐻 is here. Have you seen his guards? Their clothes shine like gold. They say he's looking for a wife. That last line made Doyin's heart beat faster. She tried to act normal, continued sweeping the compound, helped 𝐼𝐶𝐫𝐻 with the firewood, but inside, her mind was racing. Could it be 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐻? Was it truly him? She had not seen him since the day she turned him away at the mango tree. Since the day she let pride sit on her tongue and speak foolish words. She still remembered his face when she said he wasn't her type. The sadness in his eyes. The quiet pain. But today, maybe, she could see him again. By evening, Doyin sat outside her house, pretending to sort dried corn. But her eyes stayed on the road. Her sisters teased her. Why are you looking down the path every 5 minutes? Titi laughed. I'm watching for the rain, Doyin replied with a small smile. But the sky was clear. And her eyes were searching for something, someone. Just before sunset, a group of village boys ran past, shouting, "He's at the king's palace. They're preparing a big dinner for him. He looks very handsome, like a painting." Doyin stood slowly, brushing the corn off her wrapper. Her heart told her to run. To go to the palace. To find 𝐼𝐶𝐳𝐵𝐷. But her pride said, "Wait. If he wants to see you, he will come." So she waited. The next morning, a new sound filled the roar. Knocking. It came from Doyin's gate. Her sisters peeked outside. "It's another suitor," one whispered. Another one again. Doyin stepped out, and there stood a tall, dark man in fine clothes. He bowed politely. "Good morning, fair one," he said. "I am 𝐟𝐸𝐵, the son of a wealthy trader from the hills. I heard of your beauty, and I wish to speak with your family." Doyin smiled politely. "You're welcome. Please sit." He handed her a basket of gifts, perfumes, wrappers, dried fish, and palm oil. "I have traveled far to meet you," he said. "I heard that you were once large, but now you are like the new moon, soft, gentle, and shining." Doyin's smile faded. Once large. Why was that the first thing he said? Her heart dropped. She listened as he continued talking about her looks, her skin, and how proud he would be to show her to others. But he said nothing about her heart. Her thoughts. Her dreams. She looked at his face, but she saw nothing of 𝐼𝐶𝐳𝐵𝐷. No softness. No music. No understanding. Later, when 𝐟𝐸𝐵 left, 𝐼𝐵𝐵𝐿 came to sit beside her. "He seems serious," her mother said. "He comes from a good family." Doyin nodded slowly. "Yes, Mama. But you are not smiling." Doyin shook her head. "Because he didn't see me. He only saw what I look like now." 𝐼𝐵𝐵𝐿 touched her daughter's hand gently. "Then do not choose someone who closes his eyes to your soul." Doyin breathed deeply. She remembered 𝐼𝐶𝐳𝐵𝐷's words, "I like that you're not like the other girls." He had seen her before she changed. Before the world saw her as beautiful. And he had still smiled. As the day went on, more visitors came. Some brought money. Others came with big promises. "I will build you a shop," one man said. "I will take you to the city," another added. But none of them asked her what she liked. None of them asked what made her happy. Doyin began to feel tired. Not just in her body, but in her heart. That night, she returned to the mango tree again. She stood in the same spot where 𝐼𝐶𝐳𝐵𝐷 once drummed for her. She closed her eyes and remembered the beat. Boom toto. Boom toto. She smiled sadly. "I miss you," she whispered into the wind. Suddenly, she heard something behind her. Footsteps. She turned quickly. But it was only a boy from the village chasing a goat. She laughed quietly to herself and shook her head. Why was she still hoping? Hadn't he moved on? He was a prince now. A royal man. He could have any woman. Why would he return to a girl who once said he was not good enough? The next morning, something strange happened. Doyin stepped out of the house, and the entire street went silent. Men stared. Women gasped. Even children stopped playing. She looked around, confused. Then she noticed. A line of suitors stood in front of her house. More than 10 men. All dressed in their finest. All carrying gifts. All hoping for her hand. She stepped back in surprise. Her sister screamed with excitement. Mama. Doyin is now a queen. 𝐼𝐵𝐵𝐿 came out and stared in wonder. This is too much, she said. Doyin looked at the line of men. Some were rich. Some were strong. Some were famous. But still, her heart was quiet. No drumbeat inside her chest. No flutter. Then it hit her. Beauty had brought many eyes. But love. Love had only come once. And it came with a drum. A smile. And a boy who danced with her when no one else would. Doyin stood in front of her house, facing the long line of suitors. Her heart was heavy. Her hands trembled slightly as she looked at the many men who had come with baskets, words, and sweet smiles. But deep inside, she felt nothing. No spark. No joy. Only silence. She turned to her mother. "Mama, can we ask them to return tomorrow? I need to think." 𝐼𝐵𝐻 nodded, understanding. "Yes, my child. Go and rest." She spoke to the visitors with respect. "Thank you all for coming. My daughter will speak with you one by one on another day." Some smiled politely. Others frowned in disappointment. But they all left. One by one. And as the last man walked away, a familiar sound reached Doyin's ears. Not a drum. Not a voice. But a whisper from her own heart. 𝐼𝐮𝐫𝐞. That night, Doyin could not sleep. She lay on her mat, staring at the ceiling, listening to the crickets outside. The moonlight came through the window and touched her face. She sat up. She needed to do something. She needed to find him. Even if he had moved on. Even if he no longer loved her. She had to say what she should have said a long time ago. "I'm sorry." Early the next morning, before the sun rose, Doyin tied her wrapper, put on her scarf, and left the house quietly. She walked quickly to the king's palace. The guard stopped her at the gate. "I need to see Prince 𝐼𝐻, she said, her voice strong but nervous. The guards looked at each other. "You are late," one of them replied. "He left before dawn." Doyin blinked. "Left? Where?" "He was going back to Osupa. His father wanted him back." "Did he say anything?" she asked. The second guard shrugged. "Only that his business in 𝐼𝐻 is finished." Doyin's heart sank. She stood there, frozen, as if her feet were stuck in the earth. Then she turned around slowly and walked away. She went straight to the mango tree. The place where it all began. The wind was soft. The tree stood tall, as if watching over her. She sat down on the ground and buried her face in her hands. "I was foolish," she whispered. She remembered his smile. His drum. His words. "I want to dance with you for life." And she threw it away. Because of pride. Because of praise. Because of the attention that came too late. She had chosen suitors over love. Now love was gone. As the sun rose higher, a group of boys ran past the tree, chasing a goat. One of them stopped and looked at Doyin. "Auntie Doyin, are you okay?" he asked. She wiped her face quickly and forced a smile. "Yes, I'm fine." He smiled and ran off. But Doyin knew she wasn't fine. She had just lost something that could never be replaced. Later that day, 𝐼𝐵𝐻 came into her room. "You didn't eat breakfast," she said. "I'm not hungry, Mama," Doyin replied. 𝐼𝐵𝐻 sat beside her. "I heard you went to the palace." Doyin nodded. "He left." "Yes." Her mother touched her hand gently. "Sometimes, when we break something, it can't be fixed again. But that doesn't mean we stop living." "I know," Doyin whispered. "I just wish I had seen clearly before it was too late." As the days passed, Doyin said no to every suitor. One came with a golden chain. Another offered to build her a house. One even said he would take her to the city and give her a new name. But she refused them all. "I'm not ready for marriage," she told them. And the truth was, she wasn't. Not because of pain. Not because of shame. But because she had finally learned what love was, and she wouldn't accept anything less. One evening, as the sun was setting and the sky turned orange, a message came from Osupa. It wasn't from 𝐼𝐻. It was from his father, the king. The message was short: Prince 𝐼𝐻 is to be married next moon. The celebration will be grand. All are invited. Doyin read it 3 times. Her chest felt tight, but she said nothing. She folded the letter and placed it under her mat. That night, she did not cry. She walked outside and sat under the stars. She listened to the wind, hoping to hear a drumbeat in the distance. But all she heard was the soft rustling of leaves. And her own voice, whispering, "Goodbye, 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐷." The village of 𝐸𝐻 was awake with excitement again. After the news of Prince 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐷's upcoming wedding reached every corner of the village, new stories began to fly through the air like butterflies. Have you heard? He's marrying the daughter of a wealthy chief in Osupa. They say she's graceful and sings like a bird. She's not as beautiful as Doyin, though, someone whispered. But Doyin had stopped listening. She had accepted the truth. 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐷 had moved on. And she could not blame him. She had let pride blind her. She had heard the only man who saw her heart when others only saw her body. But life did not stop. And neither did the parade of suitors. Every morning, someone knocked at the gate of 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐷's compound. "Good morning, Ma," they would say. "We came to see your daughter." Some came with baskets of fruit. Others brought goats, fine wrappers, and jars of honey. One even arrived with a small drum, hoping to copy what 𝐼𝐶𝐬𝐵𝐷 had once done. But the sound was empty. No soul. No joy. Just noise. Doyin listened politely. She smiled and thanked them. But in her heart, she knew something was missing. It wasn't love. It was only attention. One afternoon, after sending away another group of suitors, Doyin sat with her mother on the wooden bench under the guava tree. "I'm tired, Mama," she said softly. 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐷 looked at her daughter's face, calm but distant. "Tired of what, my child?" "Tired of pretending to be happy," she replied. "Tired of smiling when my heart is quiet. Tired of men coming with baskets when they have nothing real to offer." Her mother nodded slowly. "Love is not in the gifts they bring. It is in the silence they sit with you. It is in the days they choose you, even when you don't look your best." Doyin sighed deeply. "I had that once," she whispered. "And I let it go." 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐷 placed her hand on Doyin's shoulder. "Then don't choose again because of pressure. Wait. Even if it takes long, let it be for the right reasons." But the pressure was rising. Neighbors whispered. "She should have accepted that rich trader. She's acting too proud. She'll soon be too old." And then, Doyin made a choice. A choice she wasn't proud of. She stood one morning and told her mother, "I will host a new competition." 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐷 looked up in surprise. "What kind of competition?" "A wrestling match," Doyin said, her eyes firm. "Anyone who wins will have my hand in marriage." Her mother's face dropped. "Why, Doyin? This is not your way." "I'm tired of waiting, Mama. Let the strongest take me." "Is it strength you want? Or are you running from your feelings?" Doyin didn't answer. The news spread like wildfire. Doyin is hosting another suitors contest. This time, it will be a wrestling match. She will marry the winner. The whole village was excited. Men began training at the square. Drums returned to the air. Women started sewing new clothes. And suitors from other villages returned with renewed hope. "This is my chance," one said. "I win her heart by force if I have to," another joked. But Doyin's heart was still far away. As the competition drew near, Doyin locked herself indoors. She didn't come out to greet visitors. She didn't dance or sing. She didn't even walk much. She sat on soft mats, ate large meals, and tried to calm her mind. But her old eating habits returned. She told herself it was only for comfort. Only for a few days. But every day, her plate got fuller. And her steps grew slower. Her wrapper became tighter again. The changes were slow but sure. She didn't notice at first. Or maybe, she did, but ignored it. 4 days before the wrestling event, Doyin stood in front of her mirror. Her chest tightened. She stared at her reflection. Her face was round again. Her arms, fuller. Her waist, no longer slim. Her heart raced. "No, not now," she whispered. She called the tailor to adjust her clothes. But the tailor's eyes told her what she feared. "The dress is tight again, madam." Doyin closed her eyes. Her heart was heavy with shame. She wanted to cancel the event. But it was too late. The king had announced it. The square had been decorated. The wrestlers had arrived. Everyone was waiting. She sat with her mother that night, quiet and sad. "I can't go, Mama," she whispered. "Not like this." But 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿 shook her head gently. "Go. Be brave. Don't hide. Don't run. Show them that you are more than shape and size." Doyin nodded slowly, but her heart felt like a drum, one without rhythm. And she feared that this would be the second time she would stand before a crowd and lose everything again. The morning of the wrestling competition came with a loud sky. Thunder rumbled in the distance, though the clouds held back their rain. It was as if the heavens were warning the village of 𝐼𝐻, today will not go the way you expect. People from far and near had arrived early. The market square had been swept clean and decorated with palm fronds, woven mats, and colorful fabrics. Drummers sat in circles warming up their beats. Women roasted maize and plantain. Little children ran around with joy painted on their faces. But inside 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿's compound, the mood was not joyful. Doyin stood in her room, holding her wrapper and staring at the mirror. It was the same golden wrapper she had worn to the first Suta parade, the one that made the village gasp at her beauty. But now, it refused to tie. Her arms were too thick for the blouse. Her earrings didn't even fit well because her cheeks had become round again. She sighed heavily and sat down. "I didn't mean to let it happen again," she whispered. She remembered the days when she promised herself to be careful. The days when she walked with pride and balance, not because she was slim, but because she had learned to love herself. But over the past few weeks, she had eaten more than she needed. She had refused to look in the mirror. She had gone back to hiding her heart behind food. She had returned to her old habits. Titi entered the room quietly and saw her sister sitting there, not ready. "Doyin, the crowd is waiting. Mama is outside with the king's men." "I don't think I can do it," Doyin said, not looking up. Titi sat beside her and touched her hand gently. "You're scared," she said. "I'm ashamed," Doyin replied. "They will laugh again. They came expecting to see the slim version of me." Titi thought for a moment. "Then let them see the real version. The one who dances like no one is watching. The one who smiles from her heart. The one 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐻 once fell in love with." Doyin blinked fast. Titi continued, "They may not clap. They may walk away. But at least, you won't be hiding anymore." With trembling hands, Doyin changed into a different wrapper, something simple. Something that fit. She didn't tie beads on her waist. She didn't wear the golden scarf. She just brushed her hair back and walked out quietly. When she stepped into the sunlight, people turned. Some whispered. Some gasped. And some just stared. "She's big again." Oh. So all that beauty was for a moment. "She's still beautiful," someone else said. "But not what we expected." Doyin walked slowly through the crowd, her chin up, her steps firm. She stood before the square. The king welcomed her warmly. "Daughter of 𝐼𝐻," he said, "thank you for showing courage. The wrestlers are ready. Are you?" Doyin looked at the white circle of strong men waiting to prove themselves. She nodded. "Yes, I am." The competition began. One by one, the men entered the ring, wrestled with sweat and pride, and tried to impress the crowd. The drums beat loudly. People shouted with excitement. But Doyin felt numb. She watched them, yes. She even smiled a little. But her heart wasn't there. It was still under the mango tree. Still beating in the rhythm of a drum that was no longer playing. When the final winner was announced, a tall, strong man named 𝐾𝐨, the crowd clapped and danced. He stood before Doyin, smiling wide. "I have won, beautiful one," he said. "I am ready to marry you." But Doyin shook her head gently. "I'm sorry," she replied. "This was a mistake." The crowd went silent. 𝐾𝐨 looked confused. "But I won." "I know," Doyin said. "But I'm not a prize to win. I'm a woman who wants to be loved truly. And my heart is not ready." With that, she turned around and walked away from the square. This time, she did not run. She walked slowly, with dignity, though tears filled her eyes. The villagers stared in shock. Some were angry. Some were confused. But a very few, nodded in respect. Because they saw something different. Not shame. Not weakness. But truth.
I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also turn on your notification to get more enchanted tales like this one. Goodbye.